Call of Duty Black Ops 4 has already been a pleasant surprise for me. As a huge Call of Duty fan, I have been both very critical and very supportive of the game at different times depending on when information comes out, my experiences with the game, or if and when things change and they influence my opinion. Many of you who have seen my videos prior to this one on Black Ops 4 may be a little bit confused. I just want to reassure you I'm going to clear a lot of things up in this video. And before we get started, I want to point out that Black Ops 4 currently has a Metacritic score of 87, which is the highest score that a Call of Duty game has received since Black Ops 1. While I certainly wouldn't score it better than all three of these titles, I can say that I will have a final ranking for this game that we're going to go over, and we'll see how it really matches up. Anyways, Black Ops 4, man. Multiplayer, it's coming in with fan favorite maps, they're being remastered, specialists have been expanded upon and given more meaning, the classic feel of competitive play and ranked play is coming back. That adrenaline pumping old school Call of Duty kick-ass gameplay is coming back with Black Ops 4. Zombies is branching out a little bit, bringing in fresh blood while making sure to pay homage to classic styles in a respectful way. Campaign has been pretty much scrapped in favor for Battle Royale Blackout mode, which has been quite well received thus far and is helping parade Black Ops 4 to the top of the streaming charts and into headlines. Black Ops 4 has broken day one digital sales records in all kinds of different markets. On PlayStation, it was the best-selling first day launch in console history. It's doing pretty well. I'm just gonna say that. But Black Ops 4 is either gonna be a game that you're loving, or it's gonna be something that you're going to hate, depending on how you feel about Call of Duty switching up its style. The old school fans who just want that arcade feel of the game, you might not be too crazy about a multiplayer that values teamwork, objective play, specialist use, and more. However, Black Ops 4 is easily one of the most ambitious projects that we've ever seen from Call of Duty, both in good and bad ways. We'll start off with multiplayer, then go out to the Blackout mode, and then we'll come back for zombies, and then we'll cover the other small topics like specialist missions and all that other good stuff. We'll give the game a final score out of 100, then match it up to see if it really does fit into place with all the other Black Ops titles. Anyways, let's talk about that multiplayer. Black Ops 4 multiplayer is ambitious, and after extensively playing through the new changes and learning as much as I possibly could about it, the gameplay is a very solid part of the multiplayer. This is really the most important part of the game, so it's good that they didn't find a way to completely fuck it up. The gameplay is very smooth, it's fun to play, the game doesn't feel as clunky as it did during the beta, maybe because I've grown accustomed to it, but it doesn't feel so streamlined that it's going to quickly bore me. It changes things up in good ways, but also in bad. The time to kill is pretty high. I'm not a huge fan of that, but after a little, just a bunch of playthrough, you're just gonna get accustomed to it anyways. The guns are fun to use once you actually pick your favorite. Kills are satisfying. I enjoy playing the game. The game modes are all pretty enjoyable, whether they're classic modes like Team Deathmatch or Domination, or they're new modes that Treyarch has introduced like Heist or even Control. The only real setback in the gameplay, like deep wired into the gameplay, is actually going to be the hit detection. Treyarch games have historically bad hit detection. It just seems like it's a Treyarch thing, but this game is now the 4th Black Ops game. The hit detection has not improved. It's honestly a shame that Call of Duty has become this mixed pot of the hit detections over the years. We get really good Treyarch games with bad hit detection, lukewarm Sledgehammer games with average hit detection, and then we get Infinity Ward games that the community rejects that have perfect hit detection. The best part of Infinite Warfare was definitely the hit detection, at least in my books. Even then, the servers, they're somewhat stable. This was the best launch actually Call of Duty has had in years. There wasn't a big setback like with World War II out of the gates that held the game up for hours on multiplayer. I'm not really lagging around in multiplayer. I'm kind of impressed by that actually, and partying up, that's just as fun as always, unless, well, you're solo and you play against a team of 5. That isn't usually very fun. Some of the core gameplay changes made to that classic Call of Duty formula are actually really good, and they add a lot of value into the gameplay. Self-healing was something that really worried me when it was actually first announced, but now that I've gotten to play the game, I've done so extensively, I have plenty of hours into multiplayer, I played through it in the beta. I love the idea of self-healing. I think it adds another layer of skill into the game, making the players manage their health while also trying to balance out those gunfights. It makes some gunfights fights become more strategic and makes you actually have to make decisions, you know? When you're playing a mode like Search and Destroy where you only have one life per round, it actually, forces you into playing strategically. You can't just run through the map and just spray and pray, oh, I'm gonna heal in 10 seconds, and not have to do anything about it, because while you can heal, your opponent can heal. There's different things like stim shot that actually affect how you heal and how quickly you heal, so I think overall this was actually a pretty good change to the game. The switch from 6v6 in most modes going 5v5 is actually just fine. I didn't like this change at first either, but I mean, I hardly noticed the difference because the map design covers for it. These maps aren't huge or anything, and even then there's still 6v6 modes in the game for people to enjoy, like the regular team deathmatch, so you at least have an option. Create a class, that's still pretty decent, but honestly I wouldn't say it's as good as previous titles. You have the pick 10 system, but truthfully I feel like there's less to pick from in this game. I think maybe it's because instead of having a pool of attachments to pick pretty much across all the guns, you only have certain attachments for certain weapons. Perfect example would be the ICR. I use this gun a lot. I will often run grip 1 and 2 on it, but there is no grip option for the Maddox assault rifle, and there's a lot of guns in the game like that, and the ICR, let's say, it doesn't have high caliber like the There's only like 4, maybe 5 perks in each category, and only 1 or 2 of them are really that useful in actual gameplay, so you really only have maybe 4 to 6 perks that you can really select from if you want to get maximum effectiveness. The camos in this game are pretty awesome. I love Panther a lot, actually, even though that's not like diamond or gold or anything. Of course, you have gold, diamond, and dark matter camos that have returned for people who want to challenge themselves to earn those camos. The diamond camo this year, instead of just being a plain diamond camo like in previous titles, will actually change colors based on different kill streaks. So maybe after 5 it'll go like to red diamond, blue, green, yellow, and then after a certain amount it actually just changes into a rainbow diamond. That's awesome. I think that that's just ingenuity, you know what I'm saying? That changes something up that people have always loved. Everyone loves diamond camo in Call of Duty. That's an achievement. But Treyarch always finds a way to make it better, they change it up. Of course, we know supply drops, if they're ever introduced, or if they actually go with the supply stream as has been leaked, we're gonna see more camos get introduced into the game. Specialists have actually been improved upon, and while historically I feel like they were more of a crutch for players due to how they were in Black Ops 3, I like how they've been expanded upon in this game. They serve more of a purpose, especially with the new game modes like Control coming into the game. They've become integral to the game, and having your team select the right specialist depending on the game mode is going to be crucial. Seraph's spawn beacon comes in handy for hardpoint especially, I found, while Recon's ability to use a sensor dart and ping enemies through the wall, they prove vital in modes like Search and Destroy. The biggest issue so far besides that hit detection has to be the body armor though. I mean, everyone who can't win a standard gunfight runs this damn armor that adds to their health. Keep in mind, Call of Duty increased health in this title from 100 to 150 already, so on top of a 50-point base increase of your health, that makes the time to kill high somewhat, too high, you now have something that gives you 50 more, which effectively doubles your health from previous titles. Go back into a game like Black Ops 3 or World War II and change the health in a private lobby with bots to 200%, and you're gonna see what I'm talking about. It isn't too pleasant, and I wish there was an actual consequence to wearing this. Of course, you can't run a stim shot, which allows you to heal faster, but you have a health boost off the get-go, and you can still heal at the normal rate. You don't get armor to regenerate once it's broken, but honestly in this game, it's not like it's going to be an issue. You're constantly getting shot in the sides and back because the spawns are a bit wonky. Regardless, I hate this shit. I hate when people run it. Overall, though, I can't say the gameplay is bad. I'd even say it's better than it was in the beta, even if not a lot has actually noticeably changed. It feels smoother with all these new game modes, and even the expansions on the older ones, it's just more fun. But Black Ops 4 has launched with 14 maps, 4 of those being remade from previous Black Ops titles. I enjoy the map design in this game, okay, which, typically for Treyarch, I always enjoy their maps. I like the variety in the maps a lot, and I'm glad they vary in design. You have maps like Militia, which, it's not the greatest map, but it has all these buildings and rooms and hills to travel and pathways and bridges, and, I don't think it's a great map, but it's still pretty good, especially if we're going to compare to World War II. This would be a top 3 map in World War II, and it might be a bottom 5 in this game. And then you go to a map like Icebreaker, which is a good frozen Arctic map with a submarine in the middle, water to swim through, and buildings to take cover in, except on hardpoint. It sucks on hardpoint. The maps that we haven't seen before in Call of Duty are solid, and a few stand out as pretty good. I've come to really enjoy Contraband, and I know this might be controversial, but Morocco. I like Morocco in particular. However, the game still didn't launch with as many maps as older Call of Duty titles might have, and on top of that, 4 of these maps are just old Black Ops maps that have been literally cut from the BO3 DLC Back in Black. That's over a quarter of the map content in this game that we've seen before, sometimes even numerous times. And on top of that, the first free DLC in the game, Nuketown, there hasn't been a Black Ops game that didn't include it. But to think that if these maps were not involved at all, we'd be talking about how Black Ops 4 has just one more map than World War II did at launch, which was a severe issue with that game. But I digress. The maps are good, the old maps even play really smooth in Black Ops 4. I can't say I'm too disappointed, even though I think they could have done more. Weapons have always been a distinctive thing for Call of Duty, and we've seen so many iconic weapons in this franchise over time. The Intervention, AN-94, FAMAS, MSMC, SCAR-L, ACR, G11, Commando, AK-74U, MP40, just to name a few of the many. With Black Ops 4 though, I feel like there is just a distinct lack of weapons in the game for players to really enjoy. I don't think there's even gonna be a gun in this game that I say we actually will see, you know, on these best weapons of all time lists in the future. For a game that isn't really time period exclusive because it takes place in the near distant future, I feel like we could have seen maybe even double the amount of weapons that we actually have seen in the game till this point. On top of that, when you whittle it down to the truly useful weapons, you actually don't even have that many. You're pretty much just selecting from a handful. It gets to a certain point in every Call of Duty title where you're doing that, but I don't feel that this game really allows for you to use any weapon that you want. The ICR, Rampart, Maddox, SOG 9mm, and the Swordfish have really stood out to me at this point as go-to weapons for a lot of people. I think that we see a lack of weapon selection in the game, but it's pretty easy to start picking a favorite even though the assault rifles are super dominant. I would be honestly shocked if we went into, you know, the next couple months without the SMGs getting buffed and the ARs getting nerfed. Overall, my score for multiplayer comes out to an 8 out of 10. I feel that's a pretty reasonable score. Of course, it's a tad bit rounded up. Anyways, let's just move on to the Blackout mode. Oh boy, Call of Duty has Battle Royale, and while this can clearly be seen as a cheap marketing method, there is only there really to just compete with games like Fortnite and PUBG. Looking beyond these curtains shows a pretty good picture, a fun, high-action Call of Duty Battle Royale. Blackout was a huge risk for Call of Duty. I would equate making this change to jumping off the cliff of the Grand Canyon, hoping to land on a 1-foot wide trampoline in the center of the crater. The chances of it going right weren't really a guarantee, especially considering Call of Duty doesn't usually innovate in the best ways anymore, and the mode obviously wasn't started when the game first began development. However, I gotta say, I think Blackout hit the trampoline right in the center for a safe landing. The gameplay is refined and enjoyable, minus of course a few minor glitches and, you know, semi-regular frame drops, you know, that's not a problem. Giving players the option to press square to pick things up instead of holding it to grab was actually my favorite change from the beta, as it gives players who prefer either style the chance to choose for themselves. I personally like to just press. Anyways, the gunplay is enjoyable. It's honestly really refreshing when you play Fortnite and things like that. In games like Fortnite, you just constantly worry about, you know, you shoot someone, they might build up a tower and chill out. It's going to restrict the gameplay for those who aren't great builders and might annoy others who can build but get sick of just not being able to get in a gunfight. Relying on the gun skill, that's a huge factor for me. Say what you want, but I know that when I'm playing Blackout, it's my fault if I miss a bunch of shots when I'm aiming directly on someone. Bloom hardly exists in this game since it's a first-person shooter. Only recoil, bullet drop, and velocity, and, you know, of course, other minor features. The kills in Blackout are generally very satisfying, and looting has actually really improved from the beta. Another sort of hidden gem about looting is that if you kill someone in the open, you now have a decision to make. Do you risk being killed looting that body, or do you move on to safety and have a higher risk of surviving, at the cost of better weapons? In Fortnite, that's hardly a worry. You just build a little 1x1 around you and then just stare your way out, or just, edit the wall through after you got all your loot. Not a huge problem. You can really protect yourself. But in Blackout, you're always really out in the open. Your decisions count a lot more. You don't just have to put some walls down and then, you're fine. On top of this, the vehicles are fun to use. The quads feel exposed since, well, you can be shot off of them, but they're fast and hitting hills with them is just a kick-ass feeling. The cargo trucks can haul your team and some loot around, but they're slow. You feel vulnerable still if you're not the driver, but hey, you have more protection. Helicopters are cool too, and while they're usually kind of just sitting ducks for the teams on the ground, they'll get you pretty much anywhere so quickly that it's just worth it. Boats are fun to use on the river for the most part, but they don't exactly do well at holding a team without room management. I think vehicles were a good addition to Blackout. They add more to the experience. I even love the addition of zombies at these locations around the map. That's a great way of hammering down that Black Ops universe feel when I can go to these locations and use the mystery box and stuff like that. Overall, even though Call of Duty is kind of hopping on a trend here, they're doing it the right way at least. I don't think Fortnite is going to get killed by Blackout, but man, if I were PUBG, I really honestly would be scared. Blackout is definitely doing PUBG better than PUBG. Loads of classic weapons throughout the Black Ops universe are going to be appearing in Blackout, and the ray gun is already in. I'm sure as time goes on and more updates come, they'll be adding more and more classic weapons and things like that too. I don't really think that there was even a better way for Black Ops 4 to have a Battle Royale map designed. For a game mode that sort of pays homage to the whole series, the map really reflects that desire. All of these classic locations around the map are fun to run through and loot, and never before did I think we were going to see Raids, Stronghold, Turbine, Nuketown, Cargo, the Barn from Fringe, and so many other classic multiplayer maps thrown in, with zombies locations like the Diner and Verrucht. However, we haven't even seen the final map. There are still dozens of Black Ops locations that we could see over time that perhaps replace other locations or just show up around the map. There's even speculation already that Hijacked will eventually show up on the map in the ocean, and as it evolves, we're going to be drinking pure shots of nostalgia within this well-designed Battle Royale mode. The best parts of the map aren't even necessarily the iconic maps from the series. You can go out into the middle of nowhere and the map is still great, with these little lodges or cabins and houses out in the forests along these roads, and they offer loot and places to kind of just take a chill pill for a few, while everyone just kills each other in the actual locations around the map. You can even go out into the areas near Turbine where it's just rocks everywhere, and honestly, one of my favorite parts of the map for the circle to close around is this area. The gunfights are tense, people are dodging between the rocks and they're shooting at each other. You're trying to heal up and hope the enemy doesn't jump around the other side of your rock shooting, Fun time. My favorite real location is probably either Raid in the Estates or Nuketown Island. They're two of my favorite multiplayer maps ever, and they're fun in Blackout too. Both are really popular spots, so of course action off the jump, plus they're just iconic, They provide pretty good loot too. Armor was pretty horrible in the beta, way worse than it was in the launch. It provides way more purpose in Blackout than in multiplayer. Not much to complain about there. I'm glad they at least fixed it a little bit. But overall, man, Blackout has truly impressed me, and it's safe to say that the community is loving it just as much. It is single-handedly carrying Black Ops 4 on Twitch most of the time, with loads of popular streamers, including Ninja, loving the game. I'm giving Blackout a 9 out of 10. Awesome execution, distinguishes itself from the crowd extremely well and only in the way Call of Duty could do, and is a rare example of great Call of Duty innovation. Zombies is, it's pretty different. Treyarch made some changes to zombie mode that, I never really expected, including new game modes. But is this a bad thing? I'm still not sure. I've played it, and while I do, I enjoy some of the new changes, I'm not gonna lie. I like the new arcade-style mode. I'm just more confused on why they made some of these changes, I mean, they weren't necessary, but hey, they work, I guess. I can see the appeal behind them as well. Overall, it's just not fundamentally different than it's ever really been, you shoot the zombies, of course, but then again, I play zombies just to see what I can achieve as a record or a high score. I don't really play for the Easter eggs or anything like that. I'm just playing for fun kind of thing, regardless, I am enjoying the zombies in this game just to play for high scores, but honestly, I can't say that it's the best in the series. Better than Black Ops 3 at launch, for sure, but I honestly think it's going to take more time for it to really work more magic on me. The special part of zombies, to me at least, is the maps. Classified is a great map. It's a reimagining of 5 pretty good changes. Still wish they would have kept Kennedy, McNamara, Castro, and Nixon all on the same map. That was just iconic. Blood of the Dead is really fun, but honestly, I don't think it's comparing with Mob of the Dead in quality. I'm gonna take Mob of the Dead any day of the week. Voyage of Despair on the Titanic. I love that concept. I think that's actually great. Honestly, at this point, I'd have felt like maybe they actually kind of just ran out of ideas, but no, they keep somehow pulling them out, you know, the Titanic. What a map choice, you know? IX is also a really good concept. I love the idea of a gladiator map, and I really like the way they made the map. I think it plays pretty well, but honestly, I think I'm still going to be playing Classified the most. Treyarch just doesn't disappoint with the concepts of their maps. I don't know how you can be that imaginative and to think up these scenarios, but they do a great job. Overall, I'm seeing a lot of praise for Zombies in Black Ops 4, and while I certainly agree it's fun to play, and yeah, I mean, I think it might even be great after it's all said and done, but I can't say that it's the best yet. Not yet, at least. Maybe I'll re-review Zombies down the road, but as someone who doesn't really appreciate the Easter eggs or anything, it's not hitting the spot for me yet, where I love it like Black Ops 2 or even Black Ops 3 after the Zombies Chronicles DLC. Honestly, Black Ops 3 had the best map lineup in Zombies history. I mean, they had the original DLC maps, but on top of that, they bring back Origins, Kino der Toten, Shangri-La, Moon, Verrucht, Nocturne Toten, Shino Numa, and Ascension. If they would have brought back Mob of the Dead and Buried instead of Shino Numa and Shangri-La, I don't think we'd even be debating this at all. The only problem at this point for making this comparison is that Black Ops 3 is done with Zombies maps. The whole rotation's there, we've seen how it plays out all the way. Black Ops 4 just came out. I certainly do appreciate the amount of content that it's provided to us. 4 maps at launch is pretty impressive. I'm gonna give Zombies a 7 out of 10. The reimagining and homage paid to 2 of my favorite Zombies maps ever brought back some very serious nostalgia and were very well executed as maps. However, it's still not hitting with me completely right. Maybe my expectations are too high. Maybe it's gonna take time for me to develop a little bit more of an appreciation for the Zombies in comparison to the other 3 titles and what they had to offer. Not sure yet, but it's off to a start, I guess. So now let's talk about the Specialist HQ, where the remnants of a cut campaign are visible to the player in Specialist missions. Now, I actually really like this being in the game, even though there is no real campaign. Each Specialist has a tutorial, and then this like weird hybrid between multiplayer modes and a quote-unquote campaign. In between these tutorials and missions, cutscenes are going to show the backstory behind these specialists, help you get an understanding behind them. I'm not going to spoil any of them, I want you guys to get a chance to play through them, but some of them are just outright sad or disturbing. By the way, Woods personally trains you. Can you believe it? I couldn't. The first cutscene shows that this story had true intentions to really follow the storylines of the games, but you can see how half-baked it really was in the end. The missions aren't really missions, they're called skirmishes, and it's basically playing private matches against bots in different game modes on different maps. For instance, Firebreak's mission might be domination on Contraband, you know? Gotta win to pass that skirmish. They even have difficulty modes. I think that, you know, overall it offers more of a chance for new players to learn the ropes of the game by giving them a space to practice specialists and get the concepts behind different score streaks and game modes. I'm just glad something kind of like campaign came with the game. Now I want to turn the focus to the Black Ops Pass. The outdated DLC model of map packs and paid maps are still in Black Ops 4, even though, you know, competing games like Battlefield 5 are moving to free DLC. On top of this, it appears there's going to be a new DLC model being formed called the Supply Stream. This will allow players to earn cosmetic items and possibly other forms of post-launch DLC. It's almost like a battle pass from Fortnite, but that's what we can at least gather from it for now. This shows that Activision understands the community backlash behind the Black Ops Pass, yet they don't want to actually change the pass. Not sure why they'd somewhat concede and then take a step back, but, you know, not just cross the line and make everyone happier. Last but not least, I want to talk about the future of the game. It appears that it's going to probably be the most supported Call of Duty post-launch with maps, DLC weapons, cosmetics, emotes and sprays, camos, and more. I'm excited for the future of the game. Anyways, guys, let's give that final score to Black Ops 4. Our final total for Black Ops 4 is an 80 out of 100, 8 out of 10, whatever you want to call it. A little bit lower than what Metacritic gave it, but I think that this game is pretty good right out of the gate. On top of that, it has a bright future. Multiplayer is fluid and fun, but holds some issues that could really be fixed, but even make the game better if fixed. Combining fun new game modes with a good selection of throwback and new maps, Black Ops 4 is doing it well. I'd say this is the best multiplayer we've seen since Black Ops 2, if I'm being really honest. Black Ops 3 was good, MWR was good, but I think that I enjoy Black Ops 4 more than both of those games, even with the issues that it entails. Blackout is Battle Royale that does it well at hopping on that hype train, you know, all these different Battle Royales are coming out and everything. It's certainly not something that was planned from the start, but, you know, for what it's worth and how long they had to work on it, it's pretty damn good. Zombies has a good amount of content, the maps are all enjoyable, but as someone who doesn't do more than just periodically play it to burn some time or have fun with friends to see where we can get on rounds, I don't really feel this mode as much as I did in Black Ops 2 or 3. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe. I stayed up all night making this, so hopefully you enjoyed it. If you're one of the patrons who are seeing this review early, I hope it was worth your contributions. If you would like to support my content going forward, please consider becoming a patron down below. Follow me on Twitter @subtooptimus. Join that Discord down below. And until next time, guys, this is Optimus, playing Black Ops 4, and signing out.